Hey guys, hold on one second. There's a little hair right there. Well, it's gonna stay there. I'm not gonna worry about it. I have a huge update for you as always. Let me turn that fan off so it's just us. A huge update here for you. I'm just gonna get into it. I don't have a lot. There's so much stuff to show you. Uh, Books. One book, music DVDs. Oh wow, I just don't even know where to start. To be honest, CDs that I just dumped over, along with all my 45s. Give me one second. I had these organized in order too, and they're still in order. Uh, so I'll put all those over there. DVDs, 45s. Well, music DVDs, 45s, CDs, no cassettes, some 7-inch singles, and a bunch of albums. So let's get into it. First thing is a book, and it's the only book I have. Everything music, like books, DVDs, is going to be music related. Make sure that's there. We go. And the first thing I want to show you is this, The Cure, and this is it's upside down. It's a booklet of the Cure's. The Cure's. Let me get comfortable here. The Cure's lyrics from I think this goes back to 78 to 87 or 89 or something like that. And there's a picture of Robert. So this has lyrics from uh yeah, earlier stuff, Faith Era, 17 Seconds, Pornography, The Top, In Between, or was that Head on the Door, uh Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. Let's see if it gets any further than that. I think that's it. I've been buying Cure stuff left or right. There is one more. Um, yeah, I think this just goes up to Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. It does. So, lyrics of the Cure. Let me just show you real quick. Um, yeah, stuff like that. Hot, hot, hot. The lyrics to Hot, hot, hot. So, that's a book of Cure lyrics. I'm a huge Cure fan. So this is not a surprise to anybody who's watched this channel how much I love this band. So that's it for the book. A few music DVDs. These are kind of interesting. A little bit all over the place, kind of is my kind of thing, I guess. But the first one I'm going to show you actually I got for free, and it's a television series. Not really music related, but I'll show it anyways. Sandman. This is based on the Neil Gaiman books, series of graphic novels, kind of a very, very well, it was critically acclaimed, but well received almost on a cult level, is the Sandman. And so it was turned into a movie. I got this for free, seasons 1 and 2. And they say the second disc is broken. It is not. So to get a free TV series, I will take it. Not really music related, but that's my only rule I'm going to break. Sade, Lovers Live. This is a live recording of Sade's hits going back to 2000, or released in 2002. So a concert film of Sade. I thought this might be interesting. I really got into her Sade, whatever, how you want to Sade. I think that's how people say it. SAD, you know. This has got the hits on here, Smooth Operator and Sweetest Taboo, Paradise, No Ordinary Love. So, thought it might be interesting. I think she's a very exotic performer, very beautiful. Sade. So, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, another cool thing to get. This is almost like, I think this is a boot of a live recording of this, them performing this live. It's like almost an hour and 20 minutes of their live thing. I'm gonna have to turn that fan back on. because it is way too hot in here. I'm gonna sweat to death if I don't, so I gotta turn my fan back on. So yeah, yeah, it's a boot. That was $5. I don't mind. I've spent a lot more than $5 on boots. Now a lot of people get pissy about that, but in the end, if it plays, I don't really care if it's a boot. So, INXS Greatest Hits Video Hits Collection. This is really cool to have. All their video hits, from The One Thing, the earlier stuff, Don't Change, up to, you know, Listen Like Thieves, into Need You Tonight, The Devil Inside, Beautiful Girls on This Elegantly Wasted, 90s videos. I like buying these video hits compilations. I have one of Peter Gabriel, which is really cool. So, INXS one. Once again, this was $5. This is cool. Beyond the Lighted Stage, Rush. So this is that documentary that was made about Rush, and this was actually pretty significant for them, as it kind of, they were able to sort of get a huge following after this documentary. Well, not a huge following, but there was more notice of Rush, and soon afterwards they were nominated and finally got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't want to say this movie helped it, but it helped promote them in a positive light, you know. So, and I saw this in the theater. My friend Ken is like, I got tickets to see Rush. You want to go see the documentary? And I'm like, I'm not the world's biggest Rush fan. And he's like, no, it's going to be great. And I was like, well, it's free. All I had to come up with is the popcorn and soda. So I went and watched it, and I dug it. I thought it was like really cool. So, and last but not least, I just got this one, Reality, David Bowie, a reality tour. So this came out in 2004. Yeah, 2004, I think. And there was a DVD set of this. I think he performed live in Dublin, Ireland. And this sounds terrific. I was listening to some of this, the CD anyways, on YouTube, just to hear it out, and it sounds great. And this has just got like some really cool tracks on it, including his cover of Cactus, the old Pixies band. So yeah, if you like the Pixies and you'll like David Bowie's cover, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, let's get into the CDs now, and I got a lot to show you, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. A lot of CDs here. I'm gonna kind of go through these fast because I got so many. Sting, 10 Sumner's Tales. So this is kind of where like I'm starting to think differently about artists. Like, I bought some cassettes of John Fogerty, and I've never really listened to his solo stuff, and I was surprised the quality of how good it was. And that made me think, oh, I sell a bunch of Sting CDs. I've never really been a fan of his solo stuff, more a fan of the Police. But this is fantastic. It's got real elements of pop music in it, and it's pretty catchy for Sting. And this has got the big hits of If You Ever Lose My Faith in You, and Fields of Gold, which is a gorgeous song by Sting. Kind of catchy, kind of poppy, like fun sounding Sting without all the esoteric and all the philosophical lyrics. I mean, they're still on here, but Fields of Gold is a beautiful song by him. And I'm going to bring this camera in a little bit. Oh, because I feel like I'm too far apart. Yeah, Fields of Gold is absolutely, right there, absolutely gorgeous song by Sting. So this came out in '95. Soul Cage's Sting. Early '90s, released 2, produced by Hugh Padgham, who produced the Police, of other artists too. I want to say Human League. I think he did Human League. Hugh Padgham did maybe Howard Jones. This is early '90s. This is kind of abstracty-ish, mellow in a way. It's not bad. I definitely think that 10 Sumner Tales is better than this. And I don't really know the songs on here. What are the songs on here? Are there any big hits on here? Oh, this is All This Time. That's a good song by him. And Island of Souls is a good track on here. Here's the lyrics. Here's the CD. Yeah. I got so much to show you, I don't really have time to, especially with, I got so much to show you, it's not even funny. This is what happens when you collect nonstop. Live version on, this is cool. This is a live version of Sweet in concert going back to 1994 when it was released, but I think this was the 70s release. The Breakdown, Sweet. I'm guessing this is a bootleg too of Sweet performing live in the 70s. One of the better glam hard rock bands from the 70s. I was really into these guys for a while. I mean, really into these guys. And if you like sort of catchy glam rock with some power pop, infused with some hard rock, and I dare I say sometimes metal, the Sweet are fucking fantastic. There's 10 songs on here. It's got Ballroom Blitz and Action and Hellraiser and Teenage Rampage and Blockbuster. A lot of the classic Sweet songs. So yeah, this is cool. Let me show you this. It almost looks like a bootleg on Receiver Records. I'm not sure when this was released, but I mean when the performances were. But I'm sure it's in the 70s. This one I thought was really cool, even though it's on Laserlight, which is a shit label. This is Alice Cooper live. This is at the Toronto Rock and Roll Revival, September 13th, 1969. 8 tracks on here. This was, I believe, the infamous scene where he took the bird and threw it in the audience, and they got ripped apart, torn apart, and it was thrown back on stage, and everybody said he was ripping off birds and fucking drinking blood, and it was kind of over exaggerated, and he just took it and ran with it. And that infamy actually really helped Alice on, or early on. Yeah, their Freak Out song is on here, Painting a Picture, some of his earlier stuff. Really cool to get, even though it's on a knockoff label, Laserlight, which I don't trust those bastards. But I'm gonna get it. It was $3. Sonny Boy Williamson, I think I had an anthology of his. This has 24 hits on it. I decided to get it. Great harp player. Really, and also one of the more gentlemen, a gentleman in the blues field, a very kind man. Huge influence on Led Zeppelin, amongst other bands, probably the Yardbirds too. See, a CD fell off. There he is right there, smiling, Sonny Boy. Yeah, great harmonica player. I like his music. It's got kind of a dirtiness to it, but it's also very palpable. He's got a sense of joy to him that is really kind of unmatched in blues. Well, there's a few people that do, but he's definitely one of the guys that, or one of the artists that definitely does. So this is the Bluebird Recordings 37 through 38. Love Old Blues. This will work perfectly. Natalie Merchant, I feel like one of the more underrated artists of the 90s and 2000s. This is Motherland. So I've shown quite a bit of Natalie Merchant stuff, or 10,000 Maniac stuff, and every time I feel like I got her pegged out, she does something different. And so she's a little bit more diverse than what you would think. If you listen to the early 10,000 Maniac stuff, it's like fucking new wave. I'm serious. Her early stuff, they came out in like 82. And the early 80s stuff was almost just like college rock sounding, and then of course she went on to Our Time of Eden being the big album, and having that classic almost like pop, sophisticated pop, classically tinged pop music. And here T-Bone Burnett produces this album, and she so this has got a little Delta bluesish kind of thing going on in it, and country-ish as well, blues and country combined in a way, and it's radically different than other stuff I've heard by Natalie Merchant, this being Motherland, this album. So once again, she surprises me. Every time I bought an album by her, I've been pleasantly surprised by her, and this is a good effort by her too. Okay, we're moving. This one I got given to me, and I don't know much about this artist, but this is Contravoid, and this is Detachment. So, experimental music with industrial electronic elements in it, and I gotta admit, this did nothing for me when I heard it. but I only listened to like 2 tracks, and it was Saturday, and I was tired. I usually research everything, you guys, before I show you it. I put a lot of work into doing the research on this, and I forget shit. You know, I'm getting older, but yeah, Contravoid is, it's interesting for sure. But the person who let me borrow this, like, we don't always have the same taste, and it's not like my taste is better than hers or anything like that. But the stuff that she's always recommended to me, I've never really been turned on to, like books wise and stuff. So, or not very much. So I'll give this thing a listen all the way through. But I don't know. Contravoid Detachment. I don't know. I don't have a high feeling on that. And then the next stack full of CDs are all fucking. And I want to get through these kind of quick because I got a lot of albums to show you too. These are all metal, so I'm gonna go through these real quick. I got these for $2 a piece. This is fucking awesome. I mean, I got these in my local record store, Jerk Dog Records. He was pricing them at $2 a piece. I should have bought in the whole fucking lot. I should have bought in like 100 of them and then spent a few hundred on them because I could have sold these at record shows, but I didn't. Rage for Order, Queensryche, 1986 release in the follow-up to The Warning. Transitional album, pretty proggy, not necessarily my favorite Queensryche era, but I find this album to be a little bit better than what people say it is. There's a lot of people that kind of shit on this album, and they think Empire is so fucking great, in which I do like Empire, but I think I like this one a little bit more. It definitely gets into that sort of prog metal thing. It's got kind of a commercial sheen to it. A lot different than like Queen of the Reich, which is a lot more like a traditional metal. Queensryche is a great band, so when I see their stuff, I buy it. Rage for Order, 1986. Testament, fucking awesome, man. I don't really see Testament stuff. This is Souls of Black on the Megaforce label, which is a subsidiary of Atlantic Records. This came out in 1990, a few years before the wonderful Ritual would come out. Still in that thrash vein. This also, I mean, kind of reminds me that Testament was a little bit of a thinking man's band, as a lot of their lyrics are like philosophical in nature, in a way, and some political, obviously, but you know, some of it like really interesting songs on here, like Absence of Light, Souls of Black, of course the title track, Facing the Sky. I mean, this almost gives me the same vibe as like Judas Priest, Notre Dame, but not as synthy and you know, but just the whole idea of it having this mystical oracle kind of thing going towards it. Testament's like one of the great thrash bands. So Souls on Black. Alrighty. Ozzy's No Rest for the Wicked. They had a bunch of Ozzy there. I should have picked it all up. I've been kind of kicking myself now for not picking these up. This is the introduction to Zakk Wylde, and a lot of people think his inventiveness on guitar, and you know, he's Ozzy's greatest guitarist, and definitely that's up for debate. I'm more a Randy guy myself, and I always think because Zakk Wylde has become everyone's favorite guitarist of Ozzy's, or one of his favorite guitarists, that Jake E. Lee gets kind of dismissed. But that's just me, and that's fine. This is a 1988 release. I like this when it came out. I still like this album. There's some great songs on here, including Demon Alcohol, which cracks me the fuck up, man. What's the other great song on here? Bloodbath in Paradise is a killer track on here. Tattooed Dancer. And then the hits Miracle Man, Devil's Daughter, Crazy Baby, and they're terrific, Breaking All the Rules. Still, Ozzy sort of being unhinged, but not really thinking it's unhinged because it's a late 80s record. I love Ozzy. He seems more rebellious on this record than even on Ultimate Sin, if possible. Like, an underrated gem of an album by him, I think. I love Ozzy. Everybody loves Ozzy, I think. Like Lynch Mob, a Wicked Sensation. Not much to report on this one. It is a 1990 release. I want to say the first album by Lynch Mob, and a terrific record. A little heavier than Dokken, but some of the melodicism in Dokken kind of comes aboard on this. I want to say I think Mick Brown, or another member of Dokken, is in this band. Somebody will tell me if I'm wrong. I think there is another member of Dokken, and half of Dokken is in this. Terrific fucking lead vocals on this. Great guitar work. George Lynch shows he can shred with some power, which he showed on the Dokken album, so nothing new here. And this is where, like, I feel like late or like early 90s metal is still really good, even though the grunge thing ruined it or whatever people say. Like, this just shows that there's some wicked ass good metal that came out in the early 90s. You know, even in the mid 90s, in Lynch Mob was terrific. So, yes, Wicked Sensation. And Wicked Sensation, the song is so catchy, so fucking awesome song. Art of Rebellion, the first fucking album I ever bought by the Suicidal Tendencies. This came out in 1992, I believe. 1992. The very first Suicidal album I bought, and I kind of knew Lights Camera Revolution, but I did not know the older albums like Join the Army and those albums. But I went back and liked those probably better. But this is definitely, I feel like it's still got some of that skate punk ethos, but it definitely is more thrashy too, a lot more metal sounding. And one of the things that's really interesting about the development of Suicidal Tendencies, in my opinion, is the maturation of Mike Muir's voice. His voice gets better as it goes along. It's kind of crazy because when you think of the first album, the one that's got institutionalized on it, I don't know if that's Join the Army, I can't remember. He's like shouting. He's a shouter. And then he does some spoken words and he shouts a lot. And then raps or talks real fast. And he's become an accomplished vocalist by this time. Kind of one of the more, I think, underappreciated thing about Suicidal Tendencies is that his vocals are quite good. And this is a very good album. It's, like I said, more into a metal territory, thrash territory. Still got that skate punk ethos to it as well. So that's never really going to leave Suicidal Tendencies. And I've been looking for that fucking CD forever. Like, the owner's like, well, I should have charged more. I go, yeah, you should have, because I would have paid $10 for it, but I paid $2. Let's see. No, I don't want to show those next. I want to show those in. White Lion, Best Of, great band. I remember when White Lion came out, and I thought everybody liked White Lion. There was something earnest about them, and I felt like a purity to them. And it just wasn't like really, you know, them and Warrior Soul that came out in the 90s. And they both could get heavy too. I mean, there was some heaviness to it, but there was something about this that a lot of people I think thought was cheesy or lightweight or whatever. I loved White Lion. Like, I always thought these guys were great, and this has got like all the great hits on it. You know, Radar Love, Wait, Hungry, fucking Little Fighter is awesome. When the Children Cry, and the wonderful, wonderful, my favorite track by this off the Pride album, fucking Lady of the Valley, which is awesome, 7-minute fucking epic song by White Lion. Great band from the 80s, I mean, and the 90s, great stuff. Rat Detonator. Speaking of early 90s metal, and that's going to be a theme, at least for the next few CDs. Yeah, this is great. Like, it's almost like forgotten about how great this is, but it's on Atlantic Records, and this was what I was talking about. Like, the 90s metal by some of these bands still hums along, and this has got like Shame 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 and Lovin' You's a Dirty Job. I'm the man to do it. Yeah, fuck yeah. All or Nothing is terrific on here. Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. Great Rat, kind of glammy, but wonderful, 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 wonderful. One of the best metal bands, I think, from the 80s. I really think Rat is fantastic. All right. Ugly Kid Joe's second album, Menace to Sobriety. On the Mercury label. Still kind of gimmicky in a way, in a fun way, but clearly this band has a seriousness to it, and still silliness to it. And that was what was really interesting about Ugly Kid Joe. They were goofy in a way, of course. They think everything about you, but then they turned around and did what was that song? Cats in the Cradle. They did a cover of that, which I actually enjoyed. Off their album, what, America's Most Wanted, was that the name of their album? Or America's Least Wanted, or whatever. I don't remember the name of that album, their first album. This is their second album, still in that same vein, a little heavier though. For 1995, I think they got a little heavier, kind of like Skid Row did when they transitioned from their first album into the heavier Slave to the Grind. I don't know if I'd say this is as heavy as Slave to the Grind, but definitely the guitars are way more pronounced on this than maybe the first album. So good stuff here, Ugly Kid Joe. Megadeth, The World Needs a Hero. I know this was released sometime in the 2000s and came out after what a lot of people hate the album Risk, which I don't know if I've heard of it. I'll be honest with you. I'm a Megadeth, like Killing's My Business up to Rust in Peace and maybe Countdown to Extinction guy. And so I'm going through and finding more Megadeth, and when I find it, I usually find one or two really good songs on these later albums. And I'm sure this will be pretty good. It looks like David Ellefson's still in the band. I have heard the song The World Needs a Hero, and I like it, but I don't really know this album. From what I've heard, people like this album. And I'm kind of curious to hear Risk, too. This came out in the 2000s. I can't remember when, because it doesn't really show when, but 2000s era. Deep Purple, Slaves and Masters. Talk about Oracle and Nostradamus-y and all that kind of shit. We were talking about that earlier with that, what was that album we were talking about that earlier with? Testament. Yeah, Testament. Now I'm doing the same thing with Deep Purple. So a lot of people complain about this album, the follow-up to a pretty good album, House of Blue Light. And this I've only really heard once, and I've heard the song on here. Was it Fortune Teller? And so this has got that same sort of, like I said, like mystical oracle kind of thing, Slaves and Masters, with Joe Lynn Turner on vocals. So a lot of people are like, well, Deep Purple's just doing Rainbow. I don't know if it's true because I haven't really listened to this album, but I think it's a rare album. I think it's an album I could sell if I want to sell it, keep it if I want to keep it. 1990s Deep Purple. I've learned that Deep Purple stuff is good. Like, even the last album they did, the What or whatever, the question mark one, was terrific. So I don't think this band, I think kind of like Jethro Tull too, even though Jethro Tull slid a little in the early 80s, like, I think Jethro Tull got better in the 90s. And I think this is a solid offering, but I haven't, like I said, I've maybe listened to this once or have never really listened. I don't remember. I think I have listened to this because I know the first song on here, King of Dreams, is a good track too. So we're moving, guys. We're getting there. LA Guns. Yeah, we're getting to the end of these CDs. Cocked and Loaded, their second album. And kind of like taking from that first album, which is amazing, the first LA Guns album, taking aspects of that and then merching up or ramping up the sleaze in this, and the songs are a lot more catchy and irresistible and in a way memorable. And this might be LA Guns' finest hour. This came out in 1989. They had their first real big hit, you guys probably know it, Ballad of Jane, about Jane Mansfield, but an actress who just happens to be really fucking gorgeous. But yeah, there's some great songs in here. Rip and Tear, Slap in the Face, Sleazy Come, Easy Go, Never Enough is so catchy on here. Wheels of Fire is a cool song. Give a Little, Magdalene. There's some tasty ass kind of glammy sleaze rock on here a little bit. Still, you know, like still LA Guns though. Definitely, if you're a fan of this band, you probably already have this. And then another LA Guns one I got was Tattoo Vampire, or Hollywood Vampires, 1993 release. This, I thought LA Guns got really interesting in the 90s for me, it's like, because I remember the first album and loved it, and Cocked and Loaded, which I loved, and then they were doing kind of almost like psychedelic stuff in it, especially with the song "Over the Edge" in it. And this has also got some killer rock in it, like "Kiss My Love Goodbye." But I feel like this album has like a bit of, I don't want to say progginess, but psychedelic, sort of experimental. Well, not experimental, but psychedelic, sort of maybe progginess to it. Longer songs and stuff like that. I really feel like, in my mind, anyways, that this stuff is really fascinating, in my mind, anyways. And two by the band Dangerous Toys, their third album, Pissed. And of course, they were dropped from the major label, and they did the Turnabout is Fair Play by really reporting how much they fucking hate the record company on this album. So, with songs like Hard Luck Champion, Loser, Promise the Moon, The Law Is Mine, Oh Well, So What? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're pissed off. Detuned the guitars, have a little bit of that 90s sound. Very, very vicious album for these guys. That had sort of, they always had sort of this twanginess in melody, and this is just one pissed off fucking album by them, and a really, I think, underappreciated record in their really small, I believe, discography. I don't think they made a ton of albums, but this one is definitely worth seeking out if you can find it. I have it on cassette too. Like, see how pissed off they are? Look at him, screaming in pain. And last but not least, Dangerous Toys' first album. This is a classic. I remember getting this when it came out. It was a fun time record when it kind of came out. I almost had this like compared a lot to me to like Junkyard. That's got a Texas thing. This band is from Texas. This has got some really fun songs on it. Of course, the big hit "Teasing Pleasing," the wonderful, and I mean wonderful track "Scared," is on here. Sporting a Woody. So stupid. Oh God. Feels Like a Hammer. Take Me Drunk, I'm Stoned. This band also kind of remind me of like a mix of, especially on this album, of Junkyard and a little bit of like Love Hate, another terrific band from the late 80s, early 90s. This is great. Favorite song on here is like really maybe one of their more melodic singles. A great single called "Queen of the Nile." Great song on here. Great track on here. Kind of like I said, these guys had a little bit of a country twangishness to them. Real like immature lyrics, which are awesome. Great vocals by Jason McMasters. A real good band from the 80s if you like hair, which I do. And that's the end of these CDs. See, they fell on me. As I knew they would. All right. I'm going to rip through these 45 so I have time in the end for a bunch of albums. I mean, a bunch of albums to show you. So here's a handful of 45s. We're going to go through them real quick. First one is It's a Sin, Pet Shop Boys. The B-side, You Know Where You Went Wrong. And so with the Pet Shop Boys, with Pet Shop Boys, there was always a feeling of like nostalgia or like quirkiness in their music that kind of implied a seriousness to it. And on this album, Jealousy, I think they kind of grew up a little bit. And they released some good tracks, and It's a Sin is absolutely fantastic. If you like dance pop, baby, 1988, It's a Sin is absolutely stunning. So they had some great singles in the late 80s, and another one includes the amazing Domino Dancing Away Away. And the B-side of Domino Dancing being, this has the 7-inch version and also Don Juan, another song that is the 7-inch version. Great stuff by the Pet Shop Boys. Domino Dancing is absolutely a fantastic dance single. I wonder if you can see it. Yeah, barely. Good stuff here. If you are inclined to want to hear some good tasty shit, away, away. domino dancing. I was listening to the radio one morning when I was going to work and they were playing that song. I was like, what a good fucking single that was. With the Pet Shop Boys, I've always been a fan of their music. So it wasn't like I just got into them. I liked them when they came out. I mean, the first time I heard West End Girls, I was like, wow, this is fucking cool. Peter Cetera, Glory of Love, and the theme from Karate Kid Part 2. Well, and the B-side is On the Line, which is actually a single that came out in 1981 on his first solo album. This was on his second solo album, Solitude Solitaire, which is a good album full of soft rock gems. I kind of like Peter Cetera. And boy, this must have felt really good to him, as him and this band were having all kinds of problems. He left the band, and in 1986, before the band came out with Chicago 17, later on that year, they fucking, Peter Cetera must have felt real satisfied to say, hey motherfuckers, look who's number one. And this song hit number one for a few weeks in the August of 1986. I believe it was August. As far as a chalky sort of silly ballad, yes. This is right into that Chicago sort of fucking formula for ballads. And I would say it would be detestable to me, as it would be to some fans, especially people who like their older horny stuff. Horny, like horns, not horny, you know. But whatever. But this, it's just fucking fun, you know, it's just fun. Oh, Kylie Minogue, The Locomotion. I bought it for the cover because she was a looker back then. Look at the hair on that shit. And the B-side is I'll Still Be Loving You. This is a stock Aitken and Waterman production. And Stock Aitken and Waterman, unless you listen to dance pop, you probably don't know who the fuck these guys are. They were innovators in the late 80s of fusing basically dance pop and almost disco elements, and these songs became big disco songs. And Stock Aitken and Waterman also did produced a bunch of stuff. Donna Summers, This Time I Know It's Real, which is a great disco song from the late 80s. The Rick Astley stuff, his big hits, Never Gonna Give You Up and Together Forever, they produced that too. So they were at the forefront of doing some really interesting dance pop stuff in the late 80s, almost forgotten about. And Kylie Minogue, not as big here as she is overseas, especially I think she's from Australia, is still big in Europe on the Geffen label. So good dance pop. Yeah, The Locomotion is the remake of the Little Eva Locomotion. Monster Mash, this is Boris Pickett and the Kickers, and the B-side is Monster Mash Party. Is it Monster Mash? Yeah, Monsters Mash Party. And I want to say I think this was the reissue. At the time when this hit number one, Boris Pickett had an album and a number one single. He left the business because it probably dried up for him, being a novelty artist and stuff. Was driving cab in the early 70s, and this song got popular again. And I think his agent said, hey dude, we're going to reissue this single. Or something happened like that, where the single got reissued because it was being played on the radio. And lo and behold, it became a top 10 hit in like 72 or 73. And I think this is the reissue of that single. So awesome 60s fucking great pop. Really fucking catchy song. It was the Graveyard Smash. I can't even do Christopher Lee right. Alright, these next three I'm going to show you. Well, before I show you those, I'm going to show you this, which I'm excited about. Very excited about. One beer short of a six-pack. This is, look at that cover. If that doesn't say punk, I don't know what does. And on the back of this, it says compilation. Let me take the sticker off here so you can see the punk girl, punk person. And so this is 1994. Love it. It's based on a fanzine of bands. Includes Schlong, the Motards, the the Marsupials, the Crying Out Louds, the Quincy Punks, and Grimple. And I'm hoping this is just hardcore. Even if it's just straight up punk from the 90s, it could be really tasty. My fear, as my fear is with any punk, this is pop punk, which I'm not a big fan of. Although I have my fans that I love that are pop punk. Not really a big fan of pop punk. But if it is, you know, whatever, I'll give it a shot. And the last three, this is really special. And I saw these were all kind of sitting together in the store, in the Jerk Dog Records. So I bought them in succession. Each one was $3 a piece. On the Berserkly label, Berserkly bands, including Earthquake and Kix. And the B-side is Train Ride. Terrific power pop band from the 70s. They had kind of more of a crunch early on, kind of more hard rock, and then shifted into more of a Cheap Trick riff-laden power pop stuff here. And Earthquake is very, very good on the Berserkly label. This came out in 76. The Berserkly was a great label. Yeah, 76. A great label. I love this label. And you probably know, if you know Berserkly, you probably know this artist who is kind of Berserkly's poster boy, if you ask me. And this is Greg Kihn. And this is another single from the 70s. Like, this shit's hard to find. And there were like 3 of them sitting there. And the B-side is Love's Made a Fool Out of You. Power popper, who started off being kind of more pop rock. Definitely probably one of the more eclectic power pop artists. And a Berserkly alum, who's even like in the early 80s when he had a breakthrough single, the breakup song, that was still on Berserkly. So yeah, tasty stuff here. The song Sorry is terrific. I don't know if I've heard the B-side, Love's Made a Fool Out of You. And the last to show you, this one is fucking excellent. The Rubinos, man, fucking great with As Long As I'm With You, when there's $3, and I Think We're Alone Now. Man, the Rubinos are fucking fantastic. Named after members of the band whose last name is Rubin. So yes, the Rubinos, 1976. J. Rubin maybe, or I don't remember their names. Very good, fucking very infectious power pop. Almost sugar coated. Oh, the Rubino stuff is so fucking good. Very, very tasty, sugary, saccharine, sweet power pop. Very catchy. This stuff is fucking awesome. More on the poppy end of power pop than the power end of power pop. But man, the Rubinos, fucking awesome, man. Their version of like Sugar Sugar is so fucking good. Yeah, the Rubinos, I don't really see their stuff around, but this band fucking ruled back in the day. Really, really good fucking power pop. So that's where we're at so far, guys. We're at about 42 minutes, and I haven't even gotten to the vinyl yet. Is this surprising to anybody that watches this channel? No, it's not. I'm going to try to blow through these albums and be done by an hour. Before you say anything, you know it's not going to happen, but I'm going to try anyways. Oh, lots of albums to show you here. I'm going to flip through these as quick as possible. This one is really cool. This is a one of those kids records, and this is A Year Without Santa Claus, narrated by Boris Karloff. And the B-side is a bunch of musical selections for holiday pleasure, including The Letterman, Glenn Campbell, Peggy Lee, the Little Drummer Boy Al Martino, Sandler and Young, and Jingle Bells by the Robert Wagner Chorale. So really fucking cool. The author of this of The Year Without Santa Claus was Phyllis McGinley. So she wrote this, and then the wonderful Boris Karloff, who was the Frankenstein monster, narrated. Of course, Boris Karloff narrated The Grinch. So How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So I had to get it. This was for $1. And the only other dollar record I'll show you, I really don't like to show a lot of dollar records, but this one is too good to pass up. And this is one I want you guys, like, if you get a chance to find this out in the wild, if you're into this kind of music, to check this one out. This one is a stunner. and this is Carol Baker Sayer. The album's called Too, T-O-O, 1978 release. I was surprised because I heard Carol Baker Sayer's song on the radio when I was a kid called Stronger Than Before, and I thought it was pretty lame. But she was an incredibly successful songwriter, and she married Marvin Hamlisch, the guy who wrote The Entertainer, which was the music used in the movie The Sting. And she divorced him. I don't know if she hooked up with, dated, but she hooked up on a songwriting team with Burt Bacharach, and they wrote the song Arthur's Theme, which became a hit. She also wrote, co-wrote That's What Friends Are For by Dion and Friends, which was the #1 hit of 1986. An enduring classic of schlockiness. But her vocals on this are like kind of strained and not quite as in like she needs throat surgery like Marilyn or Marian Faithfull, but kind of and so this has got a real interesting sort of style to it, because this seems like a band that's trying really hard when in fact these guys are really kind of having fun and letting loose a little bit, and it's terrific like sort of soft rock pop music. This one has stunned me. I was like, what the fuck? How can this be so good? And it is really good. There's a song on here called Shadows that was written by Alice Cooper, co-written by Alice Cooper and Bruce Roberts and Carol Baker Sayer. Alice Cooper was a fan of Carol Baker Sayer enough to write a song with her. So yeah, check this one out. It is in that soft rock thing, but it's super good. Like I was like absolutely in shock with this one. The shocker, the high recommend of the day is this one. Not the best record, but the one I would, if you're into that kind of music and you want to hear something like that, soft rock pop that's really good, kind of like those 70s albums Jennifer Warnes made. They're great too. Something outside of the normal. John Wayne, America, Why We Love Her. That's why we love her, or why I love her. Yeah, spoken word, John Wayne silliness. America, Why I Love Her is absolutely ridiculous. John Wayne speaks while they're playing the Pledge of Allegiance or the whatever that. America, yeah, that fucking, I can't even think what, it's so sad. I can't even think of that song as. And he's got songs like Face the Flag and Pledge of Allegiance, Why You Marching Son, Taps is on here. Total fucking, I bought this because it was sitting on a box of records. I go, how much you want for this? And he's like $2. I'm like, okay. It's fucking bad, but that's funny. Good Rats, Rat City in Blue, Rat City. Kind of a wordplay on Rhapsody. Of course, I wonder if these guys like Gershwin at all. The Good Rats. 70s hard rock in the vein of a Led Zeppelin. Really tasty stuff. The vocals are really terrific on here by Pepe Marcello. And I had a friend who was really into the Hot Rats. He's a doctor friend of mine, and this is on Rat City Records. He was really into them, but he hated Led Zeppelin. But there is a strong sort of similarity, anyways. Although, more like Led Zeppelin's boogier stuff, not the heavy psychedelic or, not Dazed and Confused, but more like Heartbreaker or something like that, in that kind of vein. Living, loving, she's just a woman. That more in that vein than anything. But yeah, Good Rats is good stuff, man. This was a steal. I don't really see their stuff out there very often. A few by the terrific band. I got doubles coming up of 2 bands in their stuff. This is Brand X. The ones I've shown you so far are the Good Rats, and I'm going to show you probably 4 or 5 in a row, and they're all going to be $3 a piece. A live set from this wonderful band from the 70s. I want to put this back just a little bit, just because it feels like it's too close to me. Yeah, Brand X was tasty. Kind of known for being jazz fusion. Sorry, let me. Kind of known for being jazz fusion, but this band is absolutely motherfucking terrific. 1977 on the Passport label. I find these guys more akin to at least the stuff I have heard, more akin to like King Crimson and an art rock sort of thing than fusion. And Phil Collins played drums with this band for a little bit. I think they're terrific. I've been on the hunt for other Brand X stuff, and I remember back when I was doing record shows back in the 2000s that this band had like a sort of like, I don't want to say cult following, but there were a lot of people who really liked Brand X, and their albums never cost a damn. They were always like super cheap. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm on board with that. You know, I'm on board with that. I was kind of like that band Synergy. Like, I used to see their shit for like dirt cheap, and there were the Synergy fans. That's a lot more electronic, into fusion, progressive fusion maybe, but still tasty as well. But yeah, this is a live set by English band Brand X. And here's another Brand X album. I love this one, Mosque, considered one of their finer records. This came out in '78. Chuck Burgie's on drums now. And this has a bit of, God, this is very abstracted, strange sounding. Especially the track on here, the Ghost of Mayfield Lodge. But this also has some futuristic stuff on here, like Access to Data. This is a very strange album by Brand X. But I'm telling you, this band is fucking great. And they're like, to me, they're more like prog fusion, I guess, than jazz fusion. But I always heard that, oh yeah, they're jazz fusion band. But I guess apples for oranges, I suppose. But yeah, this is terrific. The Ghost of Mayfield Lodge is a fucking gnarly song on here. The last track on here. And here's a picture of these guys hiding back here. Look at these doofuses. Alright, two by another band, the same band. I have the Tubes with What Do You Want? What Do You Want from the Tubes double live album, 1978. And the Tubes doing what they do best, doing their live stuff. They were more of a concert live band than they were an album, a studio band, by far and away. And this has a bit of kind of an arena feel to it, along with that sort of oddball art rock theatricality that they have. So it's a nice mixture of both. I really think maybe one of the better live albums from the late 70s, not of all 70s, but like Frampton Comes Alive past that era, this is one of the better live albums you're going to get. It's got, like, of course, Mondo, Bondage on here, and I Was Punk Before You Were Punk is on here with a terrific song. And of course, White Punk's on Dope is on here, on the A&M label. The Tubes, if you want, from the 70s, if you want some tasty, sort of fucking interesting art rock, look no further than this band. They were great. Great band. And I really feel like, sorry, I keep moving that around, but I really feel like this is still in a strange way sort of overlooked. So the Tubes there, and then I got the Tubes Remote Control. Now this is an interesting album produced by Todd Rundgren, where they're fucking like talking about technology. Now the Tubes were just so strange that to do a concept album about technology is just fucking bizarro to me. But this is why the Tubes are fucking a wonderful band in a way. It's like they don't have, like, because their sense of commerciality is really kind of like, if they can get a hook in a song on the radio, it's fine. This is really cool. It's an insert with the Tubes in this. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know a lot of the songs on here. TV is King, 1979 release. I like that song Only the Strong Survive on here, on the A&M label. Rundgren does wonders, making this sound kind of vital but yet strange at the same time, with the production helm. And another classic album. And this is the album I've been told, besides that debut album, like if you're gonna have a Tubes album, this is the one you want to get. I always thought it was like the backwards completion principle or something like that. And as I've talked to people over time, they're like, no, this is the album you need to get by him. So I got it for $3. Another great band from the 70s. This is terrific. Camel with Rain Dances. They're a really interesting group because the kind of thing about this band, and this is kind of similar to Brand X in a way. This band is more art rockish prog, I think, in the vein. They're more like, I should say, they're more prog in the vein of like the art rock of Genesis, and a tad bit of maybe some of that interesting, like Tarkus, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and a bit of strong worship into Pink Floyd. And that's the band that I think they kind of are kind of influenced by the most, is Pink Floyd. So this is like art rock, psychedelic somewhat, but not really psychedelic, progressive rock. And Camel were a great band for the 70s. And I'm so glad to buy these albums for so cheap and be able to show them to you guys and talk about some of these lost 70s bands, like even like Bebop Deluxe is another band I love from the 70s that I feel like I don't really see this kind of shit online a lot. Maybe there are people that show Camel all the time and I just haven't paid attention. I don't watch a lot of channels, so I don't know. So I do want to give a shout out to my viewers, the people that continue to watch this channel and support this real small, mundane channel. I thank you guys for that, and I want to say that before we go on. Corey Hart. Yes, this is 1988 Corey Hart, young man running. I know somebody who's going to buy this at this next record show I do. It's that simple. That's why I bought it. But in 1988, Corey Hart was in no man's land. I mean, he got kind of what happened to him was he was a singer-songwriter who was influenced by singer-songwriters like Joni Mitchell and you know, like that kind of ilk. But he was doing new wave, at least on his first album, and then he struck gold with Never Surrender on the second album. And then he went down that rabbit hole and started doing a lot of fucking ballads. And this is kind of a return to kind of more a pop rock thing, you know, but it was too late by 1988. Don't Take Me to the Racetrack is a terrific track on here. Chase the Sun is pretty good. And it's got a lot of ballads on here still. But yeah, I mean, I don't see Corey Hart stuff very often. Late 80s Corey Hart. This is definitely a seller. I'm definitely bought it to sell. Same with this one, Miles Davis. Look at that. He's got that machine gun. He means it. That's Machine Gun. He's carrying on the back too. This is You're Under Arrest, 1986 CBS release. I find Miles Davis stuff in the 80s really interesting. It really sounds like music from a television series like Law and Order, or well, not that, but like it, you know, like a who's that fucking guy? The guy who did Glengarry Glen Ross. That sounds like he's doing stuff like that. It sounds like, God, it's killing me that I can't remember the guy who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross, but it'll come back to me. But this reminds me of like sultry jazz with a little bit of an edge, but still kind of light jazz. And that's kind of what this is. I find the 80s Miles Davis to be really excellent. I know it's kind of like, but I certainly kind of like this era of what he was doing. And yeah, so You're Under Arrest, Miles Davis. Is that the end of the jazz? Yeah, that might be the end of the jazz. Well, I got one more, and then that'll be the end of the jazz. Spaces, Larry Correll. Guitarist, jazz guitarist. This is on the Vanguard label. This was $5. Look at that fucking cover, y'all. That was well worth getting for that. On the Vanguard label, and I always think of Vanguard as bluegrass or fucking folk or whatever. So I'm definitely more interested in hearing this than usual. So yeah, I still got a lot of CDs or albums to go through, so I got to be quick on this. John McLaughlin is in this, Chick Corea, Miroslav Vatis, the great Billy Cobbin on drums, some probably tasty jazz fusion. Look at that cover, come on. The cover's fucking gnarly. Gentle Giant, live, double Gentle Giant album. God, this band has a huge fucking following. And I think they get kind of, I thought they're kind of folky, but I think they're in that Yes, sort of Genesis kind of sound, I believe. I'm not really altogether all that familiar with Gentle Giant, but man, there's people that just mark on this band like non-stop, like Gentle Giant. And maybe for good reason, I don't know. But this is a double live album. I don't know their singles. I don't really know Gentle Giant stuff at all, but I know I could sell it because this is the kind of thing that holds true to be sold. So, yeah. I'm trying to crack through these quickly. The Who, Kids Are Alright, based on the documentary movie. So, Greatest Hits. I think the movie was released in '79, but it's based on old footage of The Who. And I had the documentary, I had the movie, so I should probably sit down and watch it sometime. This is not a gatefold, but it's got 2 albums, you know. So this has got basically, like My Generation, I Can't Explain, Happy Jack, up to Won't Get Fooled Again, Bob O'Reilly. So it gets up into, classic Who stuff from the early '70s too. Nice booklet right here. I love the Who. Goddamn, this band always surprises me about how fucking good they are. Every time I think, they suck or whatever, I listen to something by them and I'm blown away. And the last time I listened, it was Quadrophenia. I was like almost crying listening to that album. It's so wonderful. It's so beautiful in a way. Yeah. So the Kids Are Alright. This was $5 fucking. All right, these next 2 records are. Yeah, we're getting there, guys. We're finally getting there. These next 2 records were $6, 80s New Wave records. This one is a single, and I've been looking for this band shit. I saw this single when I was in Orlando, and it was $10, so for $6, I'll take it. The single is Boy by the incredible Book of Love. This band, Book of Love, is terrific. They made 3 or 4 albums that spanned, I think, mid-80s, mid to late 80s into early 90s. Fucking wonderful synth pop stuff. And what makes Book of Love interesting is the vocals are very direct and kind of like In Your Face by what's her name, Susan Ottaviano. Like her vocals are like straight in your face kind of shit, and I kind of like that. And this song Boy is super catchy. This has the extended mix and the single mix and the dub mix. So it's the beginning of trying to find more of Book of Love stuff. Still in the shrink right there, so I'm not going to pull out the vinyl. Another great band. This is Blancmange with Tanj Mange Tout. Synth duo from England. Started off with a little bit more kind of having a just kind of synth pop sound in the new wave. Went down the dance-ish road on this album. A little overproduced maybe for some people. Still in the synth pop world. I've had this multiple times. I'm getting it again on the Sire label. Blancmange's stuff kind of went from being like real cheap to having a little bit of collectability to where you can't get these for $1 anymore, or even $3. Or they seem to be in that $5 to $10 range, and it's strange because they're not like a real well-known band. If you know 80s New Wave, you know who Blancmange is, Blancmange. But if you don't, you're not going to know who they are. There's a few good songs on here. Game Above My Head, Tide Became the Tide is terrific. That's almost got abstract passages, kind of weird sounding, almost like talk. And then they do a cover of The Day Before You Came, which is the great ABBA song. Yes, I'm an ABBA fan, that they do on here. So wonderful stuff by Blancmange. Mange Tout. We're getting there, guys. Eddie Money, I spent $6 on this. Way too much money. Shake, No Control. I was going to call it Shaken, but it's got Shaken on it, 1982 release. It's got the finest single of his career next to Take Me Home Tonight on it. And he had a lot of great singles, but I Think I'm in Love is, in my opinion, great singles. It's the best single he had in the 80s next to Take Me Home Tonight. It is absolutely fantastic. This album's got some jammers on it, some rockers, like the lead track, No Control. Shaken is terrific. Keep My Motor Running is terrific on here. Passing By the Graveyard. Few ballads. Really good rockin' album by Eddie Money. I feel like one of the great artists who's kind of underappreciated, under the radar. Yeah, I mean, he made some schlock, don't get me wrong, but that first album of his is killer. The first album by him, and like Two Tickets to Paradise is fucking awesome too, that song. Ralph McTell, this is 8 Francs a Second. Ralph McTell is really a British singer-songwriter, and this is a UK pressing of his stuff on the Transatlantic label, and this came out in '68, so this would be right in that kind of real, or maybe earlier era of Ralph McTell stuff. Singer-songwriter, folky, had a great song called Streets of London, which Nowhere League did, the punk band did, in their version. It's in my top 5 favorite punk singles ever. This has got some interesting songs on it. This to me is like him being weirdly abstract. I don't say abstract, I keep saying that. Weird in a way, like in a Donovan, when Donovan got weird. He's got songs on here like The Mermaid and the Seagull, Sleepy Time Blues, Willoughby's Farm, I'm Sorry I Must Leave, and Granny Takes a Trip. Yeah, this is more like in that Donovan territory, which is super weird for me. Yeah, there's a cover. He does have an eye, guys. He's not blinded by this. He does got an eye, but yeah. All right, we're getting to the nitty and gritty now, thank Christ. Justin Townes Earle, last album, Saint of Lost Causes. A very kind of, I think, like social commentary-ish kind of thing that he's doing without being preachy. It's a 3-album set from him on the New West label, 2019. And of course, Justin Townes Earle is no longer with us. He had passed away from a drug overdose and is Steve Earle's son. I'm not really listening to him, but I think this is in that singer-songwriter kind of thing. Kind of mellow, probably country folkish, maybe with some rock. I'm guessing, I don't really know, but probably in that vein. He looks a little bit like Tom Waits looked like in the 70s, right there, a little bit. I've seen interviews with him. He kind of comes across as a dick, and I kind of like that about him. He does. He comes across as a dick, but I kind of like that about him. So, we'll see. I just bought these over the weekend, these next 3. Jesus Christ, this is taking way much longer than I thought it was going to take. Draft Beer Not Me, the Belching Penguins. Awesome band from, these guys are from Bradenton, Sarasota, and I think they moved up to Tampa to do shows and play up there. They're a local band, and this, to me, is the best hardcore I've heard out of Florida that I've heard. This band is awesome. There's something very strange about their music. They come across as being jokish, but there's something like there's something really odd about them. Like it's almost this, not experimental, but just an oddity, an oddball approach to like basically like classic hardcore. I don't know how to describe it. It's like kind of describe, well, how's Void weird? You know, like Void is a weird fucking hardcore band. But this band is strange to me in a way. This is off the No Clubs label. This is so terrific to have. Really, I saw there's a documentary on Tampa hardcore, and Belching Penguins is one of the bands listed, along with like Hated Youth and Roach Motel and some other ones I'm forgetting about. Failure Face, maybe. No, Failure Face I think came out later. Never mind on the Failure Face one. Yeah, yes, really never mind. But for his history, if you want history, look no further here. This is absolutely fantastic. I was so happy to get this on vinyl. because I've been looking for the Belching Penguin stuff, and this is great. Like I said, there's a jokiness to it. It's like the classic hardcore thing, but there's something off kilter with this group that's hard to explain. Like sometimes they play out of tune. I don't want to say experimental, but odd. I don't know, but it's strange. It's strange. LA based, The Plugs with Electrify Me, their first album, going to going back to 1979. They only made like 2 albums. Latino based as far as like the lead guitarist and vocals, Tito Lariva. You have Ari McBride on bass and Charlie Quintana on drums. So maybe some Hispanic stuff. Latin punk, great stuff. They do a great, and the best I've heard live, not live, but cover version of fucking La Bamba is terrific. They've been known as being like punk. They know having a rock and roll kind of feel to them. You want to call it punk and roll. To me, they're just a punk band, and they are terrific. The Plugs. Yeah, this one was well worth the fucking. Well, might as well take it out and look at it. I'm already way over on time, so fuck it. I think this is just on black vinyl. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I every now and then Doug from Jerk Dog Records gets old punk in, the Dills, the Weirdos, that kind of shit, and I gobble it up usually because it's usually dirt cheap. This one was $19. The Belching Penguins one was fucking $60. So $30 right there for 2 albums isn't bad, or well, 35 maybe. You know, what would that be? 19 plus. Yeah, 35 for 2 albums isn't really that bad. So The Plugs, Electrify Me, live version that I did not need, but I got it anyways. Live Lullabies and Other Bedtime Stories. This is a broadcast out of 1996 by The Cure. The Cure. When I showed you that book, this is almost coming full circle. I've been buying bootleg live albums. I don't know if this is a bootleg or not. Yeah, it looks like a bootleg to me. 1999 this came out originally. So maybe it wasn't. I don't know. 2022 release. I'm going to show you in a few weeks my British update, my vinyl update, and I'm going to tell you there's going to be a ton of motherfucking Cure in that. And I love this band with my every breath, every fabric of my body. I love this band. Just like a lot of you guys probably like them, or maybe not like them. I don't know. But I love the Cure. And we're going to stay on that kind of dark gothic wave for this interesting group here, Lebanon Hanover. And this is their 2025 release just last year, Asylum Lullabies. And her name, she's got an interesting name. It's Larissa, what is her last name? Iceglass. And this is William Maybelline. This is really interesting because it's in that sort of post-punk gothic dark wave thing, but her voice is really ethereal and almost not quite going into Lisa Gerrard of Dead Can Dance, but sort of floating in there a little bit. And it's just really interesting. You can't really call it dark wave, but you cannot call it dark wave. You know what I mean? It kind of is post-punk dark wave gothic rock, kind of with a real interesting, some real interesting kind of world-esque sensibilities to it. I've heard a lot about Lebanon Hanover. I've been looking for their stuff. I saw one of their albums when I was in Tampa one time, and that was it. So now is the time to finally strike on probably one of the better bands doing this kind of music out there, doing and having kind of an experimental edge to it too. So Lebanon Hanover, guys, check this band out too. This is another high recommend. This is no high recommend because I don't need to recommend this one. Amigo the Devil, and this is Everything Is Fine. I think this goes back to 2018 for him. Don't quote me on that. One of his earlier albums. What the wonderful Cocaine and Abel, maybe the song that he's best known for, is the first track on here. I buy Amigo the Devil stuff when I see it. I'm a huge fan. And he's got a gothic, sort of neo-noir kind of approach to songwriting, mixed with some really dark humor, some really silly humor, and and also this like pathos of this pain that he's trying to escape, that this guy is lonely in his own head, maybe, I don't know. He's the kind of guy, if he wasn't doing art, he'd either be in prison or dead. So it's probably better that he's connecting with people and doing something productive. So yeah, Amigo the Devil, if you were ever to watch this channel, I'm a huge fan. Watch this channel. 2 left, guys, and we're done. God damn, it's 1:15. Pixies, Surfer Rosa. Finally, I have the Pixies, and I don't need to say anything. Their first album, an absolute classic. I do like how they mixed like that sort of Hispanic kind of rock when we were talking about the Plugs earlier, with songs like what is that song on here? Vamos, and there was another song that I thought had that on here. But yeah, this has got Where's My Mind, Bone Machine, and my favorite song by the Pixies ever, and I dare say ever, Gigantic, with Ken Deal's vocals. Mwah! Love this stuff, love the Pixies. I almost completes my Pixies collection. I need to get, was it Come On Pilgrim? And I think I'll be set with having their studio albums. Yeah, without buying the newer ones. And they're going on tour. The Pixies are going on tour again. I don't know if it's all the original members or not. Last thing I want to show you at 1:16, so I'll be done by 1:17. They've been reissuing their albums with a nice sort of variety of what they're reissuing from their 90s and 2000s era back to their 80s. And I saw this and I had to get it because I'm slowly building to buy this band's discography. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. But this is Depeche Mode with Black Celebration. Out of a good version of that. 1986 album, maybe? The follow-up to, is this the follow-up to Some Great Reward? Which I've been wanting to get. But, yeah, this album has got that, no longer just a dance pop or dance industrial band. This band is got more like fucking, a heaviness to it, like in an anthemic kind of like anthem rock, kind of in the dance sort of synth stuff that they do. And this album is really a departure from really doing that more like kooky dance stuff into kind of, like I said, dare I say, arena electronic synth pop rock maybe. And I dare say that because I don't know if that's completely true, but this has got Fly on the Windscreen on it, Black Celebration, Question of Lust. Martin Gore sings a few ballads on here. My friend, well, my old friend, I don't know if I'm, well, whatever, friend Michelle's favorite song in here, Stripped, but she loved it, loved this song, and loved this band a lot, still probably does. World Full of Nothing, Dressed in Black is a great song in here. So the last song, New Dress. Happy to say I have this band. Starting to buy a lot of Depeche Mode. Black Celebration. I'm going to stop myself. I'm going to cut myself off here. Updates coming up. I will have a few. Soon at some point, I'm going to show you my British haul of stuff I got from England when my brother gets his dead ass back here. My brother will be, and me will be leaving, not this weekend, but in a few weeks. We'll be going to Tampa, so you'll get a video, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray haul, and the Tampa Record Store haul. And those are my favorite to do, really. Both of those are my favorite to do. But local records, as you can see, I got some good shit. I mean, I really got some good stuff, just local. So buy local, y'all, and take care. Have a good day. I know it's 1:19 we're at, but that's where we're at. Bye.